Hello, name's Alan. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today we're going to be playing a special build that I have been very much looking forward to playing. I think this is going to be right up my alley, element-wise, itemization-wise, and just build archetype-wise. It's going to be a combo build of the elements Fire and Earth, my absolute favorite, that being Earth, and the strongest element in the game, undeniably so, Fire element. So you can do a lot of different shenanigans with this one. For example, you could root down enemies with the Earth element, and then just smash them to pieces with very high burst damage fire abilities, or burn them, poison them to death. There are just so many things you can do. However, I decided to take this into a special run direction, which I'm very much looking forward to playing. What do I mean by special run though, first and foremost? A special run is a run where you start things off differently from a regular run. So we're going to be starting things off with two starter relics in this particular example, i.e. the first of which is going to be a regular starter relic, and the second of which will be a cursed relic, a run modifier if you will, from outside of the game. You can only pick up to one of these in the lobby before actually entering a Chaos Trial run. That also means that if you were to randomize a run, and then pick a run modifier additionally, you would keep the run modifier as it is a cursed relic, so it can't just be tossed away by a randomizer either. However, you would only know in hindsight, after actually entering the run and seeing your randomized build, whether your run modifier choice was foolish or not. Without further ado, I'd say let's get right into the run, as I cannot wait to play this finally. Today's build is called Challenging Mortality. A very heroic, very fun name. I love it. It just sounds so epic. I get goosebumps just from hearing that name. It's so freaking cool. Now, this name is alluding to our second starter relic, i.e. our run modifier, which is going to try to kill us all the time. It's going to be death itself behind our back, waiting around every corner, just hoping for us to finally end. And we're going to try to combat that. We're going to try to combat its effect. In fact, we're going to try to abuse its effect as much as humanly possible. But we will get to that in a second here, as we will continue in traditional order, as this build is very independent. It does work decently well without its run modifier. However, it's nothing wild. So let's continue. Starting things off with our robe, of course. It's gonna be the grit robe, one of my all-time favorites. I love the color on this. It's a brown robe, very earthish looking robe, which is fantastic, as about half our build will actually contain earth abilities. The other half, of course, is going to be fire abilities, but this just really hits home for me. I love it. It also looks so cool, independently of what kind of build you're actually running, independently of me actually favoring the earth element out of all the elements in the game. I think this looks so stylish and cool, and just, man, it's great. Look at those eyes as well. White eyes. I don't know, they're kind of special. I do like that. It looks kind of neat. Now, stat-wise, it also fits the build perfectly. It definitely hits home for me. It increases both our armor and healing received by 10% respectively, meaning that not only does this allow for you to take more damage more consistently and then mitigate a lot more damage taken with the armor, but also allows you to heal back to full HP much more easily from receiving both passive and active healing. Passive healing, of course, referring to just the health orbs you find out the course of run when you crack a chest, for example, or an objective, an obstacle, rather, or when you crack a healing crystal before a boss, or active healing when you actively decide to purchase a healing potion, for example, or actively decide to commit to a certain maneuver to heal yourself, like buy a certain item so you can now heal on gem pickup, for example, right? So very, very impactful over the course of your run. The earlier you get a robe upgrade here, which increases both of these stats by 5% respectively, the more value you're going to generate out of this robe for the remainder of your run. This is just so impactful. It affects your entire run. Your entire run, you're going to have much more HP than you usually would. If you are the type of person to take damage frequently, I strongly recommend picking this up. It's incredibly, incredibly good, and you will notice it, assuming that otherwise you would take a lot more damage. Then you will actually notice it, as it is not as easily noticeable as just receiving a huge damage buff or a huge cooldown reduction or movement speed buff, for example. Those are easily observable stats, whereas your damage taken is not as easily observable. It varies a lot between runs and between run categories, run archetypes. So Great robe. Fantastic. We love it. Also, in my opinion, this is a much better robe than the Spirit robe. A very similar type of robe, which increases your healing received and your critical heal chance. So this has a strong focus on healing, whereas the Grit robe has a bit of a division there. It both grants you a little bit of extra healing, just a tiny extra bit of regular healing received, not extra critical heal chance, which would be much more powerful, but just a little of extra healing from all sources gained. And increases your armor, so you can simply take more damage. So why is this more powerful? Well, usually, from my experience, on your average run, it is incredibly hard to find items that allow you to heal during a boss fight, and do so reliably so. Imagine being stuck in a Sura fight, and you just can't heal. There is no healing anywhere. You can't buy healing pots, there are no gems to pick up, there is just no other form of healing. The only conditions that you could fulfill is Blades of Sympathy, for example, or Vampiric Eyeglasses, where you have to critical strike to gain a little bit of healing, so you have to have a very high crit chance to reliably heal with this. So, naturally, Spirit Robe just generates a lot less value inside of boss fights, whereas it is very, very handsome, very nice to use, very handy for sure outside of boss fight. But even to new players, I would probably recommend Grit Robe instead, just allowing you to take more damage. With the Spirit Robe, for a new player, it's a matter of where is the next healing potion. I have to make it to the next healing potion. I have to find the next health orb. Whereas with the Grit Robe, you are forgiven a lot more frequently. You don't have to seek out that healing part, because chances are you didn't take that much damage in the first place due to the armor always being present. It doesn't rely on any parts of a run, any particular shops, any particular items. It's always there for you, and it can be expanded upon, it can be enhanced more easily by getting a robe upgrade, by finding more items that grant you armor. It's just one of the best stats in the game, in my opinion. Especially defense-wise, it's easily the best. It's just so freaking good. It's way better than evasion, it's way better than healing received, and it's way better than critical heals as well. Unfortunately so, because there's just not enough healing and not enough evasion in this game, unfortunately. So let's swiftly move on from all this unbearable sidetracking to our first starter relic, which will be an offensive item with the Berserker's Axe. One of many Berserker class type of items. I think this is very, very good for this build. Now, Berserker's Axe increases your damage dealt by a whopping 20%, which is ridiculously high. That is higher than a fully stacked 999 gem Jade Jewel Tiara at 15% for a short while after taking damage. Oh, so there's the caveat. This is basically a cursed relic with no downside whatsoever. If you consider the activation part here downside, that you have to take damage, I mean, that just happens occasionally, right? And today, in fact, with the run modifier, it's gonna happen non-stop, as, here I will reiterate, the run modifier will try to kill us permanently all the time. It will reduce our health, it will deal damage to us, and therefore activate the Berserker's Axe literally for 100% uptime over the course of this run, except during cutscenes where you cannot take any damage under any circumstances. So this is gonna gain an incredible amount of value. We are going to Value Town today, let me tell you, which grants just so much extra base damage that we won't need any damage from our robe. That's also a reason I decided to run the Grit Robe, not only so we can heal a lot faster, because we're going to take a lot of damage, and take less damage so we don't die as quickly, but also so we have a split here between defensive capabilities and straight up huge offense, destroy everything in a hit. That's what we are talking about. That's the levels of extra damage that this can net you. Additionally, with something like a double chower, for example, other base damage increases, other crit chance increases, things just get out of hand so freaking quickly. So, let's get into the abilities here. That's also a very spicy part. This is my favorite part of the build. Actually, it is a combo build. In my opinion, it's a kind of combo build. It's not like heavy cooldown reduction, yada yada yada. It's just abilities that work in synergistic ways with each other. And I love that. It's so freaking fun. Let's start things off with our basic here. A fire ability. It's gotta be Flamecross. Easily the best crowd control basic Arcana when unenhanced. Now, most basic Arcana are very or even useless when not enhanced. This is a huge exception to the rule. Flame Cross is a sort of melee but rather long range fire basic Arcana which pierces, typically features the regular 3-hit combo, and it strikes with crisscrossing flames, waves of fire that cross at a certain point. This is where you would usually want to hit your enemies. Connect your enemies, group them up at that point, and then keep them stun locked with this basic, like so. It has a very large range right out of the gates. It just generates a decent amount of signature charge, deals a decent amount of damage. It's very, very decent in all of the stats, really, and it gets so much better as well when enhanced. This is already incredibly powerful, as you can literally stun lock enemies, as when you receive a high crit chance, for example, this just gets so much powerful, or extra signature charge gain. It's so good, you can hit all of these enemies right away without ever having to consider enhancing this. That's so powerful. Compare that to a bouncing blaze, for example, which cannot even hit more than one enemy every time you use it. It's just so powerful. You hit large groups of enemies like they're nothing. It's incredible. And when enhanced, it grows even longer and even faster to use. This thing is so freaking good. The only downside, it counts neither as melee nor projectile, so it can't be enhanced easily with a Dark Katana, for example. But other than that, it's still a basic Arcana. You can slap a bunch of candies on it and just go off. It's also not particularly powerful like an Icy Dagger, for example, unlike an Icy Dagger, rather, with things like Fueled Berserk, as this is not just incredibly high damage, doesn't hit incredibly often, but rather it's more of a crowd-controlling basic Arcana, which is the best, really, at its total best, when unenhanced, in this base level version of the build. At the very beginning of a run, maybe to the very mid of the run, this is just the most powerful. You can pretty much ignore it. It's so freaking good. You can do so much with it. However, it is kind of clunky to use sometimes. Sometimes. It depends. You can, when enemies are not grouped up, perfectly easily miss this, or even end up ungrouping enemies, splitting them up unintentionally, like so. Just when you are too far away from enemies, they could be standing literally right next to you or behind you, and you would miss them, like so. Sorry, like so. See the difference? It's tiny. I could stand right here and miss, or right here and hit. It's kind of weird. You really have to kind of learn how to use it. Also, another point of concern might be that you strike in an alternating rhythm, so left, right, and then both. So you can actually end up missing an enemy that you hit, or rather you can end up being interrupted by an enemy that you actually hit because there's just too much downtime in between left and right. Say, in this situation, maybe left will connect, but right won't, and in that downtime between the final strike and the left strike, the enemy will come back at you and hit you and interrupt you in your attack. So not the easiest to use, generally speaking, but when you can actually use it decently well, like I can, this is just so freaking powerful. I love it. For our dash, we're going to be running an Earth element. My favorite dash in the game, in fact, it's going to be Entangling Vines. This one is so good, so unique. So you dash forth, and you pull a bunch of enemies around your character, in a circle around your character, towards your new location, like so. Deals okay damage. Very, very tiny amount of damage compared to other dashes, actually, but that's not what it's used for. You can push them into pits. Now, here's the kicker. When you dash across a pit, all the enemies will essentially dash with you, but they will land in the pit, as they can't just dash across a pit. They will always fall into the pit, unless they dash by themselves, which happens rare enough, but it does happen. Enemies are actually capable of dashing across pits and even stand on the pit for a short period of time while dashing, which is very weird. If you've ever seen that, let me know. But yeah, so the main strategy here is you group enemies up and then follow that up with your basic. For example, that's one of many things that you can do with this. Or you just straight up group them into a pit. Just make them follow you, kind of bait them in, and then boom, there you go. You just fell into the pit. Congrats, you are dead. You can kill an infinite number of enemies with this. It doesn't have a max number of enemies pulled from my experience. At least I've never seen it. You can pull literally entire rooms worth of enemies, but it has a very short range around your character, so you have to be fairly close to them. For example, this should be far enough away so that I cannot pull the enemy to the left from me. Yeah, I indeed couldn't pull the target enemy off the from the left of me there. So you have to be fairly close. You have to really know what you're doing with this one. But when you actually do know what to do with this, it's just so fun to use. I can't stop using it. I absolutely love this. I adored even the base version of this. By base version, I of course mean the prior version before this got reworked, which was arguably a lot worse than this one, but no, this one is just a dream come true. I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic combo piece for just calming enemies up, for finishing them off, for very low damage builds that rely on pushing or pulling enemies into pits. I just love it so much. And when enhanced, here's the best part, because you pretty much never have to enhance it, but when you do enhance it, for whatever reason, maybe your build actually can work with this, it poisons and roots the enemies pulled. So it pulls them a little closer, and then it poisons and roots them in place. Rooting, pretty much guaranteeing that they won't move any closer to you, so you can just walk away from them or burst them down. And it guarantees that a few ticks worth of the poison damage will go off, which is a very long-lasting status effect, which does deal a fairly high amount of damage. But again, the issue with poison is that it lasts so long. It takes so long, rather, to apply all of its damage. So rooting just helps out with that a lot. And you can still manage to pull people into pits and group them up, but it makes it a lot harder when you're rooting them in place. That means you can't move them either with another Entangling Vine. Say you have multiple charges on this, you use the first enhanced version, and then they are all rooted in place. You can't do that again. You can't move them in any other way when they are rooted. They are quite literally rooted to the ground and cannot be moved. So yeah, I strongly recommend not getting the enhancement usually, but also, you see me just not caring a ton about this. I love rooting enemies and poisoning them and just watching them slowly die, slowly whittling the HP down, just as much as I do the base version of this, just clumbing them up and throwing them around, and it's just so freaking cool. I strongly recommend trying this out. I love it. You could also arguably go for another dash, but I feel like this is just a perfect combo piece, as it makes both your basic and other abilities that we're gonna be looking at now very easy to hit. Now, moving on to our standard, another ability that I've literally never used before. I love it though. I really love it. I wanted to make a build featuring this, and I think I found just the right build for that, just the right build type. Trying to mix two different elements here is the main premise. It's Ignition Drive, a fire standard ability. So we are alternating so far, fire, earth, eh? That's very fun. I love this one a lot. This is a ranged ability, which doesn't count as a projectile for whatever reason, and it doesn't count as melee either. It doesn't count as anything. It's uncategorized. That's crazy. That's who did this? That's such a sloppy job. However, it's a very fun ability regardless of how easy it is to improve its power. So you shoot forth essentially this wave of exploding fire. And that's it. And then on impact, it explodes, it pushes enemies around, essentially groups them up as well. It's a line skill shot, however, but it is quite wide, so it's not super hard to hit, and it burns them additionally, which is nice. I do like that a lot. When enhanced, the final explosion ignites the area on fire, so it literally causes a bit of a fire pit to arise then, which is lovely. I love the upgrade. It's so freaking cool. But why are we going to be using this, you might ask? Well, first, have you seen this combo? I doubt you ever have. It's not super powerful, but it feels very good. Just pushing enemies around, these sound effects, the status effects additionally. It's so rewarding. Look at that cooldown. They are pretty much perfectly timed for one another as well. They come off cooldown roughly around the same time, so you can just reuse them. You don't even need cooldown reduction to run these together. That's so insane. I love that. It's so cool. And then, have you ever seen the upgrade of this Arcana? Have you ever tried it? It may not be very high power, it doesn't deal a lot of damage, doesn't have a lot of crowd control coverage, but trust me, it's so incredibly fun to use, and it hits rather often as it pushes enemies around like so. This does hit, what, like 4, 5, maybe 6 times. It deals great damage. 86 damage there? Really? How? How does this deal 86 damage? That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Let me try again. I need a larger sample size here. 86! 86! That is more than an exploding fireball! I didn't even expect it to deal that much damage. That is without a Berserker's Axe. Now imagine this with 20% extra damage every single time you use it. That's incredible! That is so freaking fun. I love it. I love it so much. You have to try it. If you have never given this a go, you gotta try it. You will have to. I order you to do it. Moving on to our signature though, this is another combo piece comboing very nicely with our dash. It is Tectonic Drill. You know it, you love it. It's a melee and a movement ability. Very high power signature that is frequently used in player versus player as it is just so versatile to use. This is essentially a double dash. So you dash once into a drill and then it lets you dash again into a drill. And this drills into enemies like so, pushing them away a large distance and moving yourself in the process a large distance. However, on larger enemies, they just stay grounded in place and you essentially just burrow yourself into them, which is very nice. It deals a very high amount of damage and hits incredibly often. Probably contender for the most hits per use of an ability in this game. It's just so freaking good. Looks like, oh man. Man, just look at that damage. Just look at it. Imagine this with a crit chance 105 on the base version. Excuse me? Certain signature abilities only deal that much damage. Merely! This is incredible! Speaking of a signature, now when you actually do manage to charge its signature, which is very easy, mind you, because this base ability already charges your signature like a mother flipper, it looks like so. Now this only dashes once and it can't be redirected, it can't be easily aborted. From my experience anyway, I've used this a fair bunch. But man, it hits incredibly often, it's massive, and it deals a huge chunk of damage. Again, imagine this with a bit of crit chance, with a bit of extra base damage. It's incredible. You get extra base damage right here, so might as well use this as a versatile tool for single target damage, for hitting large groups, pushing them around, moving around yourself. You can do shenanigans like this, and then move away. It's just so good! You can use it in any given situation, and the cooldown is so low as well. I can't even... Dude, this is crazy. It's crazy. And it's... Oh my god! My head is about to explode. It's a melee ability. It's a melee ability that is one of the most profitable, most incredibly overpowered abilities when having a very high crit chance. And it's a melee ability. Do you know what that means? You get a Dark Katana, you triple your crit chance, you're good to fucking go, man! You don't need anything else. Get a little bit of extra base damage, get healing on crit for Vampiric Eyeglasses, for example, and then just use it. Literally just use it. Or you get a band, so you can't be interrupted while using this. You get healing after being damaged from Blaze of Sympathy. You get healing on crit, and there you go. You can just stay alive forever. Or you get a full Earthen build with the respective gem as well, and you have such a versatile ability. Even when stripping all of your movement speed with certain items like a Silver Spinning Top, you can still move around with this incredibly easily and efficiently as well. This is the most easy to use, most like large distance covering movement ability in this game as well. It's better than jumps, literally better than jumps, except it doesn't give you iframes and it doesn't cook for you and it doesn't keep you nice and warm at night. But other than that, this ability is so good, so incredibly good. Not super easy to use due to the innate property of the double dash, which is pretty much required, right? It makes you dash whether you want to or not. You can't dash into pits, you can't dash across them as far as I recall. It's been a while ever since I used it, but it's nonetheless rather easy to use and very, very, very strong as your signature. As the non-signature version, it's a lot less powerful, granted, because only as the signature do you gain 2 dashes, 2 drills rather. And that massive signature, which also, by the way, destroys all projectiles touching it immediately. Just ignores them, period. So you drill with the signature into a boss, and they can't do anything about it unless they try to break free with a melee attack, which rarely happens. But you just time this well, and you should be good to go. I love using this both as mobility tool, as poking tool, as crowd control tool, and as boss killer or mini boss killer tool. However, against certain mini bosses like a summoner, this is a lot more difficult to use as they generally summon enemies from many different directions, striking you from many different directions. So when you drill and something tries to hit you from the side or from behind you, that is obviously outside of the range of the drill, i.e. you can still be hit rather easily. You just have to learn timing with this, and that's really all you gotta learn to wield this like a man. I love this so much. Let's move on though to our sorry, what was I what was I saying? Let's move on to our second starter relic is what I meant to say. This might take a while as we will have to manually reset here, potentially many times all over. I know, it's always a pleasure. I refuse to skip this part of the video. I need you to know how much I am suffering through here every single time. I also recorded this episode earlier, or tried to anyway, but I had that weird chest glitch where you couldn't, for the love of me, open this chest. It would just jam entirely. Like, I could interact with everything else in this game, but this chest would jam entirely, no matter what I did. I could reset, I could head back to the start menu, I could enter a run and then reset, like die on purpose, or do whatever else. I just would not work. I could not, for the life of me, open it. I hate that. It happens very rarely, but that's like the 4th time or so I've seen that. And of course, I scrapped that video. I also got called like 2 times or so during that video, and I just decided to re-record it entirely. So here we are right now, trying to find our sweet run modifier. Isn't it a blast every time? Oh, come on, you. And there it is. The literal Death's Scythe. All players constantly lose health, but deal more damage as their health gets lower. Dealing damage to enemies restores some health. There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, look at me. I am losing health in the lobby right now. You can see that the Berserker's Axe is permanently active, so this losing health part means that we are actually taking damage in regards to the Berserker's Axe functionality. Increased damage dealt for a short while after taking damage. We are taking damage constantly, and this is active literally 100% of the time. Even starting in the lobby, I didn't know that. I kind of forgot about that, probably. So, not only do we lose health constantly, but we deal more damage thanks to the axe. Sorry, not the axe. Oh my god. Thanks to the scythe, as our health depletes more and more. I don't know the exact percentage here. I don't know the exact values here. I don't care. This stacks with Berserker's Axe. So the lower our health, the more damage we will deal. But also we just deal more damage, period. All the freaking time. You can tell, say, assuming that this can increase your damage dealt by 20% additionally, that's 40% damage increase at the very start of your run. Just imagine the possibilities. You can kill everything right away. It's incredible. Dealing damage to enemies also restores some health. So we heal whenever we deal damage to enemies, with abilities like Tectonic Drill that hit like 1,000,000 times every time you use them. That's incredible! We have a Grit Robe that makes us heal more whenever we hit enemies. This is only an occasional heal per hit, it's not guaranteed, otherwise I would play a much different build. But still, man, this is powerful. So, essentially the challenge here is going to be, you constantly lose health, and the only way to gain back that health is by hitting enemies frequently all the freaking time. Which, is that really a challenge when you just obliterate everything right away? We shall see. Let me tell you here, as a little bit of a spoiler piece, it is not exactly trivial to win a run with this. You can still end up losing very quickly from standing around a lot, for example, considering shop items, or not finding enough enemies to hit, or simply burning out against a boss, for example. But generally speaking, this just gives you so much extra damage. It's just such a massive, innate advantage to all of your foes. It's unspeakable. I literally... I'm done. My head is just exploding thinking about the possibilities there of potentially getting a bunch of crit chance, for example, or cooldown reduction, and just excelling at everything over the course of your run, including self-healing. This is a way to self-heal, guaranteed during a boss fight, so you could technically run a Spirit Robe with this. However, from my testing, I felt like Grit Robe was a lot more impactful, as you do still take damage over the course of your run, occasionally at least, guaranteed from bosses at some point. So Grit Robe is just a safer pick in my opinion, but you could run a Spirit Robe with this. You just heal whenever hitting something. That's crazy good. And you can run a bunch of different starter ranks with this that gain you certain things on heal. For example, All Birds formula is another one that I really like. Whenever you hit an enemy, you heal due to the Death Scythe, and whenever you heal, you gain Signature Charge due to the Albert's formula, which allows you to hit enemies more frequently, which heals you more, and so on and so forth. It's so good. It's so cool. I love this item so much. So cool. But before we can actually play, we have to finish the build specifics here. Starting things off, of course, with the intended build playstyle. You want to be aggressive. You want to be hyper aggressive. Hit enemies and don't be hit in the process. Don't get stun locked, because when you are hit, you get stun locked. You can't actually do anything. And keep in mind that you constantly lose HP regardless of whether you're actually in combat, whether you're hit, whether you're just standing around. So when you're stun locked, not only do enemies get the chance to hit you and keep stun locking you, but also you keep losing health over the course of the entirety of the run, over the course of the duration of being unable to do anything about it. So don't get stun locked in the first place is the only recommendation I can give you defense wise. Otherwise, just be aggressive, live out all your fantasies. You can kill everything right away, but you do still need enemies that you can heal from, as you will kill enemies right away. There's just no chance of healing from hitting them frequently. So you need rather beefy enemies, you need larger enemies, you need to take on challenges, you need to kill larger mimics, you need to do mini bosses frequently. Just essentially you have to assert when it is necessary for you to heal, when you need to heal. Usually the hardest challenge on a stage, on a floor, generally speaking with this, is going to be the mini-boss. And only the mini-boss. Not traversing the floor, as you will just pick everything apart on your way to the mini-boss. So you have to assess, is it actually going to be important for me to have like more than 100 health against this certain mini-boss? Say the Rogue comes out, which can stun lock you, right, very easily, or the Summoner, or the Mage, and maybe your build means trouble, right, or that boss means trouble to you, likewise. And then you actually have to consider, do I need to heal before heading there? And in such a case, I would probably recommend buying the occasional healing potion, and then actually heading off into the boss fight, so that you can finish it off safely without any risk of perishing whatsoever. Other than that, you can just be aggressive to your heart's content. I absolutely love that. Moving on to potential problems. Well, the only problem here is that you end up dealing too much damage, so that you just are stuck around like, what, like 100 max HP, sorry, not 100 max HP, 100 current HP count at any given time, because you simply cannot find enough tanky enemies to withstand all your hits. But is that really an issue? I beg to differ, I don't think so. But when you do have Double Trouble, Double Toe, and other items that make you take just proportionally more damage, more and more and more, you get to a point very quickly where you cannot out-heal the damage that enemies deal to you in a single hit, even over the course of multiple seconds. So you have to be kind of wary of that. As soon as you pick up a Double Trouble, things are gonna get a lot tougher. Not only are you becoming a lot more glass cannon-like, yeah, you are just merely touched and you shut into pieces, but also can you obliterate everything faster. So everything comes with a huge downside and a huge upside usually. There is no in-between with this one. Everything is just that extreme. Like I said earlier with the Orbits formula, for example, it just gains so much value. It's so extreme right away the second you pick it up. Even regular things like smaller, less important items, like for example pixels, sprites, fairies, like stones, they just deal so much damage with your marginal no, it's not marginal at this point, with your massive, ginormous base damage increases. Everything gets nuts and kind of unpredictable, but it's kind of beautiful to watch. So I really love it. Other than that, I don't think I see any potential problems. Maybe you would want to avoid Shu because of the evasiveness, the general ability to evade, the evasion of all the wind enemies on your way to Shu. But then also Shu hits very, very often and gets you stun locked incredibly easily. So you would probably want to dodge him, just do him first. Or you would want to dodge Freya because she can literally stun lock you, like freeze you to death without you ever being able to do anything about it. But only assuming that you are incapable of dodging that ability to the best of your ability, or that you can't generate enough signature charge to just use your drill and ignore her ultimate entirely because it destroys all the projectiles coming your way. So you want to dodge either Freya or Shu, I'd say. Maybe Thunder Twins or Zeal, depending on who you struggle most with. I would say Atlas, unanimously, is not really an issue. You really don't have to skip him, even though Poison is a little annoying to your build, but the boss itself shouldn't pose any threat whatsoever. It just deals very high damage to you, but it doesn't stun like you, it doesn't hit you frequently enough, nearly enough to actually end up killing you. So we're going to try to avoid Shu over the course of this run. In terms of recommended items in Arcana, my favorite section of any given run, there's just so much. Kind of niche items like Albert's Formula, kind of other niche items that do certain things when being healed, or that love you taking damage, like a Bone Mail for example. Items that grant you extra armor to stack with your Grit Robe. Items that grant you extra healing, like the Blades of Sympathy. Items that increase your base damage or your base crit chance. You can pretty much take any and everything and be fine, let's be honest. There is nothing that is actually detrimental to this build in the game. Even like getting rid of knockback on enemies shouldn't be too detrimental when you just kill them right away. I love the band as well. I forgot its name. Sano's Headband, I believe is called, which allows you to not be cancelled, not be interrupted when using an attack. But you have to watch your health bar closely, because if you're standing in the middle of a boss attack, you're not interrupted. You won't notice being stun locked or being hit. You have to actively pay attention to your health bar to not die. But I love it, generally speaking, because it can just be so incredibly aggressive and just ignore all threats with the Tectonic Drill. I love signature charge game with this, but it should become the main focus of the build right away. Try and actually use your combo abilities first, early on, while you still can, while you still don't obliterate everything in one hit. That having been said, cooldown reduction obviously works true wonders with this build as well, even though the cooldowns are rather low. The base cooldowns, we're talking about those here today. Extra cooldown reduction does go a long way, so you can just spam your shit a lot more often, have a bunch more standards and dashes and signatures and just a bunch of extra fun. But generally speaking, itemization-wise, you can do whatever you want, and pretty much every single strategy is viable and strong. I could go full armor with this and have an incredibly powerful build. I can't really be killed due to the armor. I've naturally a lot higher damage with the Berserker's Axe. I don't really need extra damage increases beside that one. And I have naturally occurring healing with the Death Scythe. I can just jam myself into enemies, try to not get stolen in the process, of course, and then heal myself back up, and then basically not take any damage from enemies. I still take the damage from the Death Scythe, but I might be able to out-heal it, or to just ignore that downside entirely at some point. There are just so many things you can do with this. Go wild, go crazy, have a good time. Arcana-wise, I'd say anything that hits frequently enough to be worth it is great. You should take those into consideration. Most lightning abilities should count here because they just hit often. They might not deal a high amount of damage, but you don't really need them to, considering your just laughable base damage. Other than that, I'd say the regular abilities that already deal a very high amount of damage, like Exploding Fireball, Bolt Claimer, Permafrost Bulwark, or any given jump in this game, are gonna be your best friends. They are just that much stronger. They are already incredibly busted, overpowered, unfair to use abilities in player versus player and player versus entity. And no, they are just a whole lot stronger. So there you go. Just obliterate literal entire rooms in the use of one single ability while also being invulnerable. Enjoy your day. Have a good time. All of those things having been said, I'd say we are finally ready to get into this run today. So where's Shu? Sky Palace, absolutely. Let's go. Sky Palace, Thunder Twins, and Atlas. That's a neat combo. These are kind of the off-meta types of dungeons. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, just look at that. Oh, we are actually on 1 HP due to the lobby, so we probably should have sped things up there, huh? So we can actually die here. We can die here very easily. I did not expect that. I thought we would at least start out on 500 HP, not on 1. The rate at which we lose HP is very fast, so it is very easy to die this early on, and you have to be very careful. If I actually do end up dying this early on, mind you, I'm just gonna restart, as I don't really see a reason to limit myself to having to play on 1 HP here. I'm not playing a Pride Robe run. Alright. This does make me a whole lot more nervous. I will admit that. As it's very difficult stacking up enough HP to actually survive here. There's just no way I could ever. Extra signature charge gain could be very, very powerful. Calvin's is gonna be very, very helpful. Extra evasion when I'm at low health, and I'm constantly at low health with this one. At least right now. Okay, I think I would also love some extra movement speed. Or we could grab soccer cleats. This massively increases the damage of Tectonic Drill. I think I would love movement speed, just so I can traverse rooms faster, and therefore heal a lot faster. It seems that I heavily underestimated the rate at which Death Scythe tries to kill its user. I'll actually try to kill them manually here for a little bit of healing. Let's go. While I still got the HP. Alright, anyone left? I'm missing pink. Yeah, the rate at which I'm using HP is very concerning. I probably want some sort of extra healing. We'll grab it. And then move on. We don't want the stopwatch. Oh shit, I could have traded out Dr. Songs. I totally forgot about that. Didn't really see that. Oh wait, no, I couldn't. No. I had in mind that I just mainly upgraded Ignition Drive, but I actually didn't. It's just from the Fortune Cookie, which doesn't count, actually. So, it would just take my Ignition Drive and leave me kind of dried out there. Not optimal at all. Oh, that's a hard room, potentially. With the Rogues and the Cyclopses. We could try a boss room, but I don't feel very confident at all. It could be the Archer, for example, which can finish me off safely from the distance very quickly, and I would very much not like that at all. Just trying to hit a bunch of different rooms here. I would love healing on signature charge use. That'd be probably very, very useful, as it's, generally speaking, a rather large heal. And it still uses the base version of the ability. so that you can destroy enough projectiles to potentially generate enough signature charge for another signature, and then just keep that cycle going. Due to the fact that Earth is not effective against wind, I will have a much easier time healing on this stage with Tectonic Drill than on any consecutive non-wind stages. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a lot. Use the run speed here instead of dashing around. Should be a little bit faster. I could also overuse my basic. That seems to generate a fair amount of HP. Let's head up there. We are missing pretty much all the shops. They should be found all the way over here. Hello, number 1. Cardist is not very interesting at all. Now when you hear that sound, that distinct sound, it means that you're low HP, so Calvin's shoes are gonna proc, and then probably Death Scythe also grants its extra damage boost from that point going forward, I would guess. It's kind of intransparent as the way that this ability works, but generally from experience, all of them work the same way. Why would it work any different? I don't want to spend my money here on an upgrade. Not right away, anyway. As I might come across a limited edition robe, for example, which could be very, very powerful. Okay, let's head to pink. Alright, no, I kind of forgot I've already been to the green store. So let's actually grab the flame cross. Is there anything in here? Projectile, healing potions will not decrease in quality. That is very helpful. I will grab that. Thank you very much. Now, I do have the option of using a bunch of healing pots. And bye-bye. Yeah, I just deal way too much damage to heal enough. A little bit of a bummer. Let's swiftly move on to the boss. Heal enough to just not die. And we still have to wait out the cutscene during which we actually do end up taking damage. Which is a bummer, for sure. Wait out the attacks. Start attacking here, and then strike back. Signature. And bye-bye. Trade a bit of health there to finish him off. Now, it is in my interest, in my best interest, to skip the cutscenes as quickly as possible. So just jam A, don't read the text. If you don't know already, pause, take your time to read it, but I'm not going to be doing that here, obviously. I'm in kind of a rush, just a little bit. Amulet of Sundering, that's a lot of extra damage. Lovely. Try and hit all of them. Okay, we failed miserably, but we did connect to all of them with that pool of fire. Let's line up our shot. So hit as many of these fellas as possible. Finish off the ones that can actually damage me, and then signature again. Come on. Come on. Come around the corner. Oh, shite. Shenanigans, am I right? Shenanigans. Okay. Enter the trap room. Now, there's only 2 enemies at a given time in this room, so it's not very beneficial heading in here in the first place. There's just not a lot of healing. You will most likely only lose HP in here. Speaking of healing, thank you for that health orb, dear Roguey Rogue. Okay, what's in here? We have armor. I like that. Other than that, reduced cooldowns and the kite. I don't intend to use tapping gloves. I think that's going to be way too stressful. I don't really want to focus on that whatsoever, so not going to be picking those up, even though they would be incredibly powerful damage-wise. I don't think I have to worry about my damage. All things considered, I think we should be fine. Okay, evasion, a revive. Non-repeatable, but it's nonetheless a revive. And it sacrifices immediately on pickup half of your current HP count. So would it be more beneficial now or later? Probably later, but I'm probably gonna need it rather soon, so I'm gonna be using it now. This does revive you only at what, like 1 HP? Which is more than we actually need, probably. All things considered, we should be able to come back from a 1 HP res fairly quickly. Okay, let them come. This is way too risky, and then go for it. Okay, I screwed it up. Around the corner. Eliminate projectiles. Abort the signature. I don't want to waste any time here. Oh, Zephyr. That could be very, very powerful. That guarantees me a little bit of downtime. Also, while I'm moving, I'm basically invulnerable, meaning that Tectonic Drill is gonna gain so much more value. It's one of my absolute favorite abilities with Tectonic Drill. One of the most busted. I should have seen that coming. Should have played around the crystals. Okay, we got a little bit of health back. Not a lot though. We're not gonna be using that whatsoever. We still need to find Green Star. And I really... No, we have found Green Star. I really want to get that Zephyr, I think. Okay, let's not waste any additional time here. I don't think I can afford it. It's 175 in it. Yeah, I think I really want to have that. I'm 94% done. So let's keep exploring and try to actually... Can we? I don't think so. I don't think we can ever reach it. We are at 2-1, so let's chug a healing part for 200 HP and keep moving on. Try not to lose too much here, as enemies just get so much faster and more vicious. It's easy to die. The longer your run carries on for, the easier it becomes to simply die. Pinata. Gladly. Oh, it doesn't heal me. It simply does not heal me. That's a bummer. Mantis Imperium. That's neat. Very high damage. Could come in very handy as a room clear tool. But on the other hand, oh shit. It doesn't heal me a lot. That was a very, very bad play. I lost a lot of health there. Almost lost my life there. Well evaded. That was totally another mistake there, but evasion got my back. Okay. Yikes, man. Calvin Sandy shoes are very good pickup. Ignition drive. Yeah, absolutely. No second thought required. Still got the healer. Oh my god, I gotta be very careful here. It's a lot of enemies. A lot of vicious enemies that we can just entirely ignore because of their projectiles. Now, covert ops would have been fantastic with the Zephyr, but oh well, what can you do? I'm just now realizing that I could have also picked up the evasion item earlier instead of the halo. which probably would have been a safer pick, but I did like the Halo a lot. I still do. I think it could come in as a potentially run saver. I just want to maintain it up to Sura. Just not lose it by accident. Okay, we are pretty much done with the stage here. Just move on to the exit. It's gonna be somewhere over here. Probably not to the right, so let's head here first. Oh, that's a very tough run. But we beat it gracefully. Signature. Ain't nobody anywhere. Alright, let's do it. Hit him! Cool. Captain's ring, extra damage, not a lot, but still worth it probably. Do we move on? Do we grab a healing pot? I think we grab a healing pot. I think we pretty much always want to grab a healing pot, thanks to the royal jelly. That should be incredibly helpful. Overall, to the likeliness of actually being able to win this run. Alright, let's go, let's go, let's go! Stop wasting time. Boop, boop, boop. Signature! Cool. Die. Perish. In the flames of hell. Dragon Surge. That's another element, so extra damage from the Captain's Ring. Lovely. Also, that's way better than Thunder here, as this is the Earth Dungeon, and it's way better than the Shockwire ability as well, so that's a win-win-win. Love it. Let's move on swiftly. Cancel the Tectonic there to not fall victim to the large enemy, because I would have stopped in front of it, as it is a large enemy. Keep in mind that I don't have forever here. Oh, come on, you bastard. I thought I'd kill you with that one. Oh shit, that still worked? What a bummer. What a bummer. Oh, thank you, Dragon! That's so helpful, actually. Okay. Nothing wild in here, just extra evasion. I'll take it. And cooldown reduction, that's really it. Okay, Robe upgrade. I don't think that's gonna be super impactful. And it's 100 max HP we would have to trade here. It's kind of unfortunate that we didn't find any additional healing. Would have come in very, very handy. Not really looking at my health bar right now. Let's do the boss right away. More enemies means more fun. Wait for the boss and then go for it. Oh shit, at least a little bit. Hit the ads. I didn't know the max range to Mentism Gem would be so tiny. I'm still looking for a Zephyr. Zephyr would be incredibly helpful, so I will keep going. Come on. Let me out. Okay, no upgrade. Vortex Bell is very good for projectile destruction, but it tends to make me feel overconfident. I don't like that. Let's swiftly move on. I tend to also use it at the most inappropriate times possible and then die as a result. Cancel, cancel, cancel. And then keep going. Play smart around the barrels. Same here. Just strike when they can't even interrupt you. You won't be at any risk playing that way. Now, I did unfortunately lose another signature. Okay, finally we find gem healing and increased critical healing chance, which is fantastic. Also heal on crit, which is fantastic. I think we will get rid of the fortune cookie. It's not going to be super impactful. The only unenhanced Arcana seems to be the shockwire anyway. Let's grab the heal on crit. It's a tiny, tiny heal, but could make all the difference. That's of course a mimic. Pay attention to the Cyclops, don't want to be stomached by him. Pass the dragons through the walls, and then the signature. Yep, very clean, love it. Cast this, boop, hit a bunch of enemies. Just dash through. It's risky, but it's worth it. I don't want to be knocked into a pit. I will take much more damage that way than by actually being hit by any of these fuckers. These absolute buggers. I hate them. They are quite a pain to deal with. Finish them off individually, like so. Cast the dragons. Okay, that was a bit of a misplay. Interrupt with the Mentis, and we are good to go. Look at that HP count, isn't that sweet? Now, more crit chance would be very much welcome. With the eyeglasses now, that would have been an option earlier as well, but now it's even more important. Finish everybody in here right away. Avoid the attacks. I really don't want to be hit by a 50 damage boulder to the face. Not a big fan of that one. And boom, we've reached about max HP. Ain't that beautiful? This is just a trap room. Bit of a bummer. I'm amazed that the Mantis did actually pierce the shield there. Probably because the shield wasn't up in time. That's the only reason that I can think of. I highly doubt that Mantis actually pierces the shield. I bet it would just be reflecting back at the player under any different circumstances. Always cancel the drill dash, so I'm just a little faster going into the going right places instead of wherever. Let's try and find the exit. Is it down here? Looks like a huge room down there, so probably the exit. I do want to sell the fortune cookie. Want to head back to Kramar and do so. Oh shit! You guys are assholes. Oh my god, bro. Absolute assholes. Absolute cunts, as we say. Come on. I will take that hit. And essentially trade with it. Okay, drop something here. Jelly works. Do this. Sell a cookie. Where's the cookie? Here's the cookie. Anything else we can sell? Not really. So let's head back. We can also sell the gel. Realistically so, because why wouldn't we be able to? There's not really any more healing that we gotta do. And then probably grab the sunglasses, which keep us alive a little better, slowing enemy projectiles down visually. Let's go. giving us slightly more time to dodge, and therefore we should realistically be hit slightly less often by Sora. But we'll see. We'll see about that one. Okay, Atlas, it is time. Will you be the final challenge of the run? Or just the very beginning of its end? Oh shit, I missed that! How did I miss that? I just want to finish, man. My controller aim is so bad. It's so freaking bad. And I pressed all the wrong buttons. I mixed up my Y with the Mentis, with the signature, and likewise vice versa. Quite frequently. Stress, man. It hits everywhere. There's so much going on here. Aw, come on, I keep missing the Mentis. I'm so thankful for the evasion. Dude, I keep missing abilities point blank. Come on. That's just rude. Deploy the fire pool before actually engaging so the pool can deal its damage while I am wailing at the enemy. Cool. Man, so many dash resets. This is crazy. Okay, what do we get? I think... Okay, oh my god, so many good items. Mirror Shield, first of all. No, we probably don't want to get that. We can only get one of these items. Tiara is 175, would be a neat damage up. And then the flip-flops would be a very good tanking tool. I'm not sure which one I want. Rather, I probably would like to drop sunglasses again, and then grab the flip-flops, I'd say. It's just a gut feeling that I might need a little extra defense, and that might be better suited than a little extra damage, so I'll just go for that. Grab the healing pot even though I won't need it. Grab these health orbs, and then go for it. I definitely don't want Mantis Imperium for this fight. I want the drills, because they can easily take care of his orbs. Perfect, giving me an opportunity to swap there. Man, I am mixing up so many buttons here. Okay. Now it's only about survival. I still got the halo. Oh, shite. Burn. We are doing great HP-wise. Why did it have to be beam? Come on. Oh yeah, we did it! Cool! Man, that was great. So much damage mitigation at the end there. 6k spell damage. Holy crap. GG. That was fantastic. Didn't even use the Horn Halo, much to my surprise. Very rough first floor, actually, with the 1 HP. I wouldn't recommend waiting. Would highly recommend actually getting right into the run, not talking for like half an hour before. Alright, we did it. We beat you to it. And we got 14 gold out of all this. I don't know where that gold came from, but thank you very much, I guess. Oh man, so we got a lot of very good defensive options here. Evasion is very, very helpful, so Caverns, fantastic, because then I'm neither stun locked nor do I take the damage. It's fantastic, it's just the perfect mix. Armor, on the other hand, when you do take damage, it's strongly mitigated, but you still are stun locked and you can still be followed up on frequently. So Calvin's fantastic pickup. Breezy Grey also fantastic pickup. Catalytic pretty much grants you a chance, even just on a base level, just Catalytic Vial plus Death Scythe to redeem yourself entirely, to just ignore the Death Scythe and heal potentially so much that you can, again, theoretically, say you have an infinite number of enemies at your disposal and a reasonable number of enemies fighting you at a given time, that you could potentially heal all the way back up and mitigate the effect of Death Scythe to be worthless, to just not have any effect on you whatsoever. Oh, so good. I loved seeing this. Like, so good. I would have loved seeing this much earlier on, but yeah, still very helpful regardless. Flip-flops, obviously very helpful. Generate signature, it's just an entirely separate thing, entirely separate resource from your health bar, independent from it, if you will. So you just have to hit things fast, gain signature, and essentially have a second health bar. Even at 1 HP, this can keep you alive for extended periods of time, which is just perfect. I love that. Vampire's Eyeglass are also very good. Extra health regen, yeah. Regardless of the condition, regardless of how hard it might be to hit this condition, which in this case is rather easy, but it doesn't happen too often. You have to hit critical strikes, and it's a rather expensive item when you actually purchase it in a shop. It's just extra healing, which it's a support type of relic. It's not your main thing. It's not super impactful. It just supports you in your task of mitigating the effects of Death Scythe. And I feel like that's a very good summary, a very good description for most of these things. Extra evasion, but it's not like 100%, it's just 25. It happens occasionally, and it supports you in your cause of, or in your task of trying to remain alive and beat the run. Try to kill them faster than they can kill you, or than you can kill yourself, rather. Horn Halo, again, I'm surprised that we didn't actually proc this. I was very close to just toss the Captain's Ring for something else. Loved the Euphies, even though it didn't do too much. I didn't get hit too often overall. But again, having extra armor helps support that cause. The less damage you take, the more HP you're going to be working with. The higher your resource, essentially, the more forgiving the rest of your fight is gonna be, and the more chances of actually healing up all the way and coming back are. If you start things off with 100 max HP, chances are not gonna be very high for you that you're actually gonna be able to beat the run. But with a bunch of armor, you effectively won't have 100 HP, but maybe like 150, because you just take less damage from all sources. I love this a lot. This was a very fun run, albeit very stressful, a lot more stressful than I would imagine it to be, than I had imagined it previously to be. But nonetheless, very fun. I did like this a lot. I hope, dear viewer, that you liked it just as much as I did. I had a jolly good time. I would definitely play this again, though maybe without the talking part, as this just strips a lot of time, or rather it adds a lot of additional downtime to the playing experience, and therefore a lot less HP overall. I strongly recommend you pause the game occasionally with this, and maybe just take a breather or take a look at your items, and then consider what you want to do before actually sending AFK in the game, completely caught up in your own mind, thinking about these like item combinations, what you want to do, and then you find yourself at 1 HP and you have to somehow get out of your misery. So keep that in mind when playing this. I should have probably mentioned that earlier, but yeah, other than that, we had a good time. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you know how it is, you know how it goes. I wish you all a good morning, a good day, or a good night, wherever you are, and until next time, bye bye.